The board did meet in closed session today, and we had no reportable actions. And Fidel, could you lead us in our pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We all like you to sign. We have a backdrop now.
Yeah.
Okay, we will move on to public comment for board policy 2350. Any person may address the board at this time, either on an agenda item or other matters of interest to the public that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. A maximum of 5 minutes is allowed for each speaker, with a maximum of 15 minutes per item unless extended by the board. Do we have any public comments today? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to our board and executive staff reports. And we're going to move item number E to the top of the agenda so that we can introduce our new faculty for those who have possibility to teach. And so I will hand it over to Mr. Cardoza for our new faculty.
President Cardoza, thank you for taking this item out of order, and thank all of you for allowing us to do that. We do have some faculty on this list who are going to be teaching class in just a little while, and wanted to make sure we got our introductions done, gave them an opportunity to be there and be on time for their classes. So with that, I have the easy part. I'll introduce our Vice President of Academic Services, Dr. Lacerna, and she'll facilitate these introductions for us.
I also want to thank you for changing the order, because we do have two of them. One has to be in Fresno at 6 and one teaching at 6. And so I've told them all they can sneak out as soon as they're introduced. They promised to come back for another one. So it's luckily we're in an order of division, so I've invited the deans to introduce them and tell you a little bit about them. So first up is Dr. Waldner, our career technical education dean.
We have new faculty in each of our divisions that I oversee, and the first I'm going to introduce is Mr. Mario Pungetto. Mario, would stand. Mario actually comes to us from industry. He happened to teach as an adjunct professor in our electrician training program, and that's when we first became acquainted with him. Last year, he actually served as a full-time professor in our industrial maintenance program, where he taught for a year in a grant-funded program over in the Hanford Center. So we had 1 year of industrial maintenance there at the Hanford Center. And that's what he's hired full-time. We're very excited to have gotten a full-time position for the Industry and Technology Department, and he'll be full-time in Hanford as industrial maintenance. He has an AS from Fresno City. He's worked 12 years as a certified electrician out in industry. For the last 5 years, he's had a contractor's license. He was trained both at Fresno City College, but also in the IBEW, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, in their apprenticeship program for 5 years. As I said, he came from industry, so he's worked as an electrician on his own, but also worked as a maintenance mechanic, and more recently at Foster Farms. So I'm excited. I know his performance over the last year, and we're lucky to have Mario Pungetto here with us at College of the Sequoias.
I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to teach the craft that I've learned and I love. And I look forward to making everybody proud, doing a good job, and building a good name and improving and doing the best I can.
Thank you.
And secondly, we're excited to have our new professor of animal science, Mr. Russell McKeith, if Russell would stand. Mr. McKeith comes to us having taught at the University of Tennessee Martin, and prior to that at Western Kentucky University, both in animal science. He has a master's degree, both from Texas A&M University, in meat science, particularly animal science, with a focus on foods and meat science. Also a second, actually that was his second master's. He has a master's also from the University of Georgia in that same particular area and field of study. Like I said, he's taught at UT Martin and Western Kentucky University. I like him because he's a trailing spouse. Instead of me being the trailing spouse, he followed his wife from, and I think he's okay with me saying that, who took an animal science position at Fresno State. So we're really excited to have the team, the pair of them, here in the Central Valley because our animal science program is growing and it's a great relationship with all of we're a feeder school for all of our institutions, including Fresno State. We're excited to have Russell. He's taught Intro to Animal Science, Basic Meat Science, Animal Genetics, Livestock Merchandising, Contemporary Ag Issues. He's been an assistant coach for the Western Kentucky University Livestock Judging Team. He comes with lots of experiences, strong educational background. I've already been impressed just over the last 2 weeks with his understanding of curriculum and understanding of the educational process. And so we know we're very lucky to have him. So if you would help me welcome Russell McKee.
I just want to say thank you to everybody. This is an awesome opportunity, and I look forward to helping us rebuild our animal science program at the Tulare campus. I see amazing opportunities. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And our next dean is Cindy Delane, who's our dean of nursing, allied health, consumer family studies, and business. And is there anything I missed?
That's good. That's good. Good evening. I'd like to introduce Pura Cordero. She is our new full-time paralegal instructor, and I can't tell you what a welcome response we have for her. As you know, the paralegal program has been without a full-time instructor for a number of years now. And last week we met together for it was supposed to be an hour meeting. It was almost close to 2 hours. And we have an exciting plan of goals and objectives and things we're going to move on right away to bring the paralegal program back up and even higher than it was at one point in time. So we're really ready to rock and roll on that. She has a Juris Doctorate from Southwestern University School of Law in Los Angeles. She has a certificate of international mediation from Tulane University School of Law in Berlin, Germany. She has a BA in political science from UCLA, and she's been an adjunct instructor for us since 2008, teaching in the paralegal and business departments in a variety of those courses. And we just are so thankful that we were granted that position, because it's time to bring this paralegal department back up to where it needs to be. So with that, please help me in welcoming Pura.
Thank you to the board, thank you to members of the audience and staff and faculty. I'm hoping it can meet all the expectations of everyone here, as well as the staff and students and my dean and obviously my chair. And I thank you for giving me this privilege to go ahead and be a member of COS family.
Next, I'd like to introduce Tatiana Deef. Oh, I didn't tell you. I didn't tell you to stand up. Bad team. Tatiana comes to us with a master's in physical therapy from Samuel Merritt College, a bachelor's in science in human anatomy from Stanford University. She's been a physical therapist for 18 years, specializing in neurologic and orthopedic injuries, as well as the rehabilitation of athletes. And she has just been fabulous. As you know, we started out with this program as an adjunct for the last 3 years, so she's been instrumental in making the program what it is today and its success. So we're so thankful that now she's part of the team permanently for College of the Sequoias in physical therapy. One of her goals, she stated, is that I never see a patient again for the same diagnosis. If I do my job right, I will impart what they need to know to continue to go on without me.
she views teaching the very same way. So with her passion for physical therapy and her dedication to students, I think we got one top-notch instructor here for the physical therapy assistant program. So with that, please help me welcome Tatiana.
Thank you. Like everyone else, I'm really excited to be here. I think just the last week with all the new faculty orientation, I've been overwhelmed by the amount of support and in all levels that we get here at the college. So I'm really, really excited to be here and help move physical therapy into the next generation. Thank you.
I get to introduce our new Veterans Counselor. Please help me welcome Ms. Jenny Garcia. Come on, Jenny. Jenny comes to us from Reedley College, where she was working as the Veterans Counselor there. She was a student at Reedley College and then at Fresno State and earned her master's degree from National University. She's a veteran herself, having served as a combat medic in the U.S. Army. And I can tell you, we are thrilled to have her serving our veterans in our Veterans Center. Please welcome Jenny Garcia.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank all of you for this wonderful opportunity. I have been serving veterans for the last few years, but I'm very excited to serve veterans as a full-time counselor now. So I'm very excited for the things that we can bring to the veterans on your campus. And now my campus, I'm just very excited to be here. So thank you.
Okay, our next. Yes.
How many veterans do we have?
We currently have 276, or last semester 276 were certified. That means those veterans chose to use their benefits during that semester. With a full-time counselor, we're hoping to increase that awareness because we know we've got lots of veterans across the campuses that are not using their benefits. And so we're hoping this year to increase awareness and draw in even a larger number.
Good, thank you.
And I apologize, we're going really fast. Do you have any other questions?
We figured there were too many for questions.
Okay. I told them
We like to
that.
ask questions.
I told them that on Wednesday, so they were off the hook. So next up is Dr. Techo, our Dean of Math and Science.
Thank you, Ms. And members of the board and COS community, I'm very honored to introduce two of the three members that have been hired this current semester. This is Teresa Mendoza and Dr. Mike Springer. Teresa is a Visalia native. She's a graduate of Mount Whitney High School and is COS alumna. She graduated from COS in 2001 with a degree in math and science. And she was also a member of our MESA program. She transferred to CSU Long Beach, where she received a bachelor's degree in science and actually was involved in a significant amount of undergraduate research and was published in the Journal of Physical Chemistry as an undergraduate. Teresa was accepted to CSU Fresno, where she worked in the graduate chemistry program and in the area of inorganic chemistry. Her research involved the reactivity and exchange studies of zinc and nickel cysteine complexes as they are related to cancer drugs. Impressive. She continues to work in a course as an adjunct at COS. She's been here since 2008. I should note that when she graduated from CSU Fresno, she did graduate with distinction. And we'd like to welcome her to the COS community as one of our newest members of the chemistry faculty.
Thank you all so much. It's a pleasure to actually meet everyone of you and also to introduce. And I am just super excited. I've been here for about 6 years and I've loved COS even when I was here as a student. And it's just an honor and a great privilege to be a part of the COS family. So I thank you so much for this distinction when you're meeting with you today. So thank you.
and welcome.
Dr. Michael Springer grew up in Reno, Nevada, and attended the University of Nevada, where he obtained a bachelor's degree in philosophy and sociology with an emphasis on moral and social responsibility. He returned to Reno, Nevada with an itch to study science. So he took both degrees in biology and in chemistry, and was so inspired by those studies that he continued on at the University of Colorado at Boulder for his studies in chemistry for the PhD program. His area of study is materials and nanoscience and nanotechnology. He has worked with organic semiconductor materials and for electronic plastic devices. Mike is also active in the field of chemical education and recently published an article in the Journal of Chemical Education. I'd like to extend this welcome to Mike Springer.
Thank you. I feel very fortunate to have been given this opportunity, and I look forward to contributing my expertise to the further development of the chemistry program here at COS. Thank you.
Our third candidate is a mathematician who is actually in class right now. The class actually session started about an hour ago, so she could not make it. Her name is Patricia Sanford. She will be teaching and has been teaching for the past year, so you did meet her last year. And she is a very experienced community college teacher. She's taught all over the Bay Area and in Northern California. She is also currently an accepted intern for the American Mathematical Association of two-year colleges called AMATIC. She is an Access Scholar, and her area of study will be improving instruction at two-year colleges for mathematics. And she unfortunately can't be here, so but she did ask me to tell you that she's very, very happy to have been accepted as a mathematics instructor here. Thank you very much.
Before Mike walks out, I just want to say the reason he's holding coffee is because he just moved here and they had a baby a week ago. So I'm sure he's going to sneak out and drink that coffee. I did want to say that we are excited. We are really happy that Mike joined us from Colorado and that Russell came out from Kentucky. But in addition to that, we're very proud that 8 of our 11 new faculty members were adjunct faculty or full-time temporary faculty here at COS. And so it just goes to speak of the quality of the adjunct faculty that we have here and how competitive they are, because several of them were going for several positions at the same time and waiting to hear from us. So we're really proud that they chose COS and are joining us as permanent or full-time tenure track members of the faculty. So and also this is the first time we've had 11 faculty members in a really long time, so we're really proud of that. And now I'm introducing Karen Roberts, our Dean of Language Arts, Fine Arts, and the Learning Resource Center.
Thank you, good evening. I have the privilege to introduce 2 of the 3 faculty we've hired for my 3 divisions. I'm going to introduce Landon Spencer first. Landon earned her bachelor's degree at Chico State University and her master's degree in English at University of Washington in Seattle. She spent several years teaching English and creative writing at Dartmoor, an alternative private school, and eventually became the manager of Dartmoor's Seattle campus. One of the most interesting and very delightful things that I get to share with you about Landon is she took a hiatus from academia to tour the Western world performing trick riding and lasso acts with Cavalia, a Cirque du Soleil equestrian show. So she teaches all how to ride horses. 5 years ago, she returned to her hometown of Three Rivers to settle down and reconnect with her passion for teaching. She has worked at COS for the past 5 years as both an adjunct instructor and an instructional specialist in the Writing Center. During this time, she has been an active faculty member participating in assessments and the accreditation process. We're very excited that Landon will continue her full-time career as an English professor here at COS, and we're just very happy for her.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be here. This is my dream job, and I'm just really looking forward to doing a lot of great things with you guys here at COS.
And next, I'd like to introduce Michael Tackett. Mike earned his bachelor's degree in music education at Bowling Green State University, Ohio, and his master's degree in instrumental conducting at the University of Denver. He spent 3 years teaching at an arts emphasis high school in Moreno Valley, California. He has served as the assistant conductor of the Lamont Symphony Orchestra and Opera Theater and the Denver Youth Orchestra, and he has conducted at Carnegie Hall. He's also conducted many musical productions for COS over the last 10 years and has been one of our adjunct instructors. For the past 10 years, Mike has been the director of bands and orchestras at El Diamante High School until his recent employment here at COS as one of our full-time instrumental music instructor. He loves to play golf and eat great food, and we're very excited to have Mike here. Anyway, we get to see what he does with
Everybody likes that.
Thank you. I would just like to thank you for this wonderful opportunity to work with this great COS family. I'm so excited. I feel so blessed. And there's so much talent here in the Central Valley, and I'm so excited to be here to work with them. And I'm going to dedicate myself to the instrumental program here at COS. Once again, thank you.
I need to know what your handicap is.
You really want to know what it is? Okay, it's 12.
Okay, perfect.
Are we on?
For our last faculty member at the Learning Resource Center, I'm going to introduce Mary Catherine Oxford, Director of the Learning Resource Center.
Me too.
I have the honor of introducing Malia Young. Malia has her degree in liberal studies or BA from Fresno State with a minor in Southeast Asian studies. She has her master's degree in library and information science from San Jose State. She spent the last 5 years working with Washington Unified School District in West Fresno Middle School as a library technician, and she both ran their library and taught library classes. Last year, while working at Washington Unified, Malia served as an adjunct here at COS and worked as a reference librarian in Hanford. Last year was a big year for Malia. She worked both jobs, raised her family, and she also managed to be awarded the 2013 Fresno County Exemplary School Library and Librarian Award and managed to secure numerous grants for Fresno County. She also continues to work diligently with multiple long activist organizations here in the Valley. We're very excited to have Malia's enthusiasm, her talent, her heart, and her unique perspective here at COS. So please help me welcome Malia Young.
I'm really excited, like all of my fellow colleagues here, who just got hired, and I'm very thankful to be part of the COS family. And I look forward to the challenges and the expectations set forth by my director as well as my dean. And not only that, but to continue to assist our students and faculty and staff in the Learning Resource Center, not only in the Visalia campus, but as well as the Tampa and Tulare campus. And I want to thank all of you as well as the board.
You're welcome.
That is our faculty, and I just want to let Dr. Waldman and Dr. McKeith know they cannot recruit Landon for the equestrian team.
Finally, we were able to hire 2 new student service managers over the summer. We're really excited about both of these individuals, and they'll both be familiar to the board because they've either worked here in the past or are currently working here. First person I want to introduce is our Director of Financial Aid, Mr. David Lovering. David was here in the early to mid-2000s as the coordinator of our cashier's office. We lost him to Early Mart School District, where he went and became the CFO for that school district. He has since moved on to Visalia Unified, serving as an internal auditor, as well as their purchasing director, and for a time, their facilities director. We're thrilled to get him back as our financial aid director. We think he'll do a fantastic job. He also graduated from Fresno State and earned his MBA from Cal State Dominguez Hills. We really think, even though financial aid is a new area
area for him. He brings the intangibles necessary to do a great job, and we're thrilled to have him. Please welcome Mr. David Lovell.
Thank you for the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to coming back and being part of the COS team. I've seen lots of familiar colleagues from before, and a lot of them that keep it short, and a lot of new faces I'm looking forward to working with. So thank you very much.
Thank you, welcome.
The next person I want to introduce is our director of the EOP&S program. That is Equal or Extended Opportunity Program Services Program. That's Adrian Beltran. He's probably one of our most popular hires in recent memory. Adrian has served as our full-time counselor in the EOP&S program for the past 9 years. Extremely popular with colleagues and students alike. We feel like he's going to make a super good administrator. Very excited about that. Adrian also went to Reedley College and then earned his BA and his MA at Fresno State. Again, he's been here 9 years after starting with Reedley College. He's had numerous community colleges make runs at him over the last few years, but he's always been a very loyal and conscientious employee, and we're just thrilled to have him on the administrative side. So, Adrian Beltran.
Thank you. I want to thank you for this great opportunity. I've been part of the COS family for the last 9 years, serving as an EOP&S and care counselor. And I have the privilege to serve as the EOP&S and care director. So I'm very looking forward to this great opportunity and to working with all of you in this new capacity.
Well, most of them have left, so I can't really say thank you to those of you that are still here. Welcome aboard, and we look forward to working with all of you in the future. Okay, so we'll move Okay, we'll move on to our student trustee report. Fidel.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. We have a couple things to report today. We just got back, finished and getting back from our retreat probably 2 weeks ago. We just learned the essential skills of being mentors for for other students, and also leadership skills, communication skills that are going to really we're really going to value and cherish as we are on the board for Student Senate. We also planned our calendar for the fall and spring semester. And with that, just a couple events that are coming up for the campus. We have Club Social on the 16th of September. Club Rush tied in with Multicultural Affair on the 25th of September. And then we still have to plan a day for meet and greet. For those of you who do not know what meet and greet is, it's just so the students can get to see the face of our presidents and VPs here on campus, and also the president and the student trustee, and we still have to plan a date for that, hoping towards the end of August, hopefully, if we can schedule that. Our first day of our class is tomorrow. It's our first day from 11 to 12. It's our peer mentorship class. And with that, we will be appointing our senators for each division here on campus, hopefully within the first 2 weeks, and then 2 members for the master plan within the first week.
Sounds like you're going to be very busy, along with those 26 units. Not sure how you're going to do it all, but thank you for that report. Do you have any questions, board members? Besides how he's taken 26 units? Okay, seeing that, we will move on to our board member reports. Do we have any board member reports tonight?
I attended the Police Academy graduation last week, and big class, and a lot of them were already employed. I think 11 of them had been employed from the Police Academy.
Correct. This last graduation?
It was a very nice ceremony and very well attended.
Lori?
Yes.
I can report that one of our COS nursing students that just graduated this May just got a job in the Roy family, so my son-in-law.
Nice place to live, too.
It's a pretty good job you got over there, too.
Any other board member reports? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to our foundation report. Mr. Foster.
Well, I heard tell that summers are quiet around here, but that didn't seem to be the case for me this summer. So we kept really busy. A lot of summer preparation for the coming year. We refined our online donation forms. We prepared the COS Athletics campaign to get kicked off. We developed a master event calendar that's just a whole wall in one of our offices. And we initiated just this week our employee giving campaign. So we're looking forward to all that. A notable activity that happened over the summer is the foundation passed a budget for the 2014-2015 year. It included a change in its spend, so of its investment. So the first 4% of investment income is going to underwrite the operations of the foundation and to, more importantly, benefit the college. With that, there was an allocation of $81,550 for scholarships. That's an 81% increase in the amount of foundation funding into the scholarship program. And we also allocated $140,000 to fund projects. That's a 33% increase over last year's funded projects, and there wasn't projects funded the prior year. So we went from 105 to 140 for the 2014-2015 budget year. I'll initiate that request for proposal on Friday, and we'll start getting the proposals and evaluating them, and we'll make a decision next May for that. So that's the fund projects for the 15-16 year. I'm just wanted to remind you that the Tulare chapter is partnering for the Crush Party on September 26th. It is on your list of events, and just want to let you know that was still happening, and thank President Cardoza for her sponsorship of that event. On the 22nd of August, we are preparing for our foundation retreat. I wanted to remind you of that and invite you one last time for providing any input to either President Carasosa or myself or any of the board members of the foundation in preparation for that retreat. So if there's anything that you feel like the foundation should be focusing some of its energy or pointing towards, please let any of us know. And then, of course, we have the upcoming events. I wanted to let you know that we got our first home game for football on September 6th. So I added that to your list, and you have your reference tool in front of you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Just a quick question. How much money was allocated again for scholarships?
For scholarships, $81,550.
Thank you.
And good to see you in Morro Bay.
Oh, yeah. Good to see you too.
We booked it in Morro Bay a few weeks ago.
I would just like to publicly thank Tim Foster on behalf of the Performing Arts. His wealth of knowledge and him coming here has been one of the biggest helps we have had in a long, long time, helping us forward. We now have tickets online, we're doing the season tickets, and he has helped us more than anybody in a long time. And I just, on behalf of Performing Arts, I want to thank Tim. You've made this good. Thank you.
Glad to help.
Thank you. Okay, we will move on to our accreditation report. Dr. Smith.
So, convocation was really focused on a lot of it was on accreditation, everything from the master plan to our warning report that's coming up. And I want to thank all the faculty who joined Superintendent Carasosa in presenting all of the work that we've been doing over the past year. They really did a fantastic job. And a couple of the things that we shared that day, Dr. Trimble talked about the timeline that we have coming up, and I think that's the key thing to remember with accreditation, is that we started in 2000, well, we didn't, it's been ongoing, but 2012 was our visit, our self-report and visit. In 2013, we had our show cause report. In 2014, we have our warning report. And as you heard at convocation, the first draft is on the website, available on our accreditation page. We're looking for feedback from the whole COS community. And so that's this year. We'll have a visit it's due in October, and we'll have a visit in November. We'll be coming to the board for review in September and October. And from there, though, the following year, in 2015, we'll have our midterm report due. And that's, every college does that regardless of where they are with accreditation. And they do a mid-term report that reports on your action plans for the previous year. So we had 18 via action plans in our show cause report. Those are just things that we needed to continue to do and to get completed. And so we'll be working together to get those action plans out to the different groups that are responsible for them to make sure that we're getting feedback and start preparing to get that done and prepared for our 2015 report. In 2016, the new accreditation, the revised standards take effect. And so we'll have from 2016 to 2018, which is actually a very short time frame, to implement those fully, make sure that all of our processes align with those, and then our next self-evaluation will be due in 2018. So one of the things Dr. Trimble shared was that accreditation is a way of life for us now. It's going to be constant and ongoing. And so we will, the master plan was also shared, and we talked about the timeline for that. The drafts are also available on the website for anyone to provide feedback. And the warning report looks really good. We're getting evidence together, and then it will be ready for editing and coming out to the governance process.
Any questions? Just one report after another. Just different matters.
They're not reports, it's just how we operate.
Some longer than others, right, Thea?
They seem to come faster.
Okay, superintendent report.
I'm sorry,
I was not sure we had nothing else.
We are good.
Just making sure, I don't want to skip them over. Okay, we'll have our academic senate report, Dr.
Good evening. I just have a few things. First, as you know, the Academic Senate submitted to the ACCJC a proposal for changes to the now newly adopted standards. And I went through our proposal with the actual new standards, and about half of our proposals were actually implemented. Not some of the more key ones, unfortunately, but some of them were anyway. So that was nice to see. The Academic Senate is scheduled to have a retreat on Friday, September 5th, and I'm going to do a small training on 10+1. We're going to have some training on Robert's Rules of Order, and the majority of the time we're going to have our senators review a new constitution and a new set of bylaws. The old constitution and bylaws were kind of a mess, and we had bylaws in our constitution and constitution things in our bylaws. Plus, we now want to make sure they're completely in alignment with our new governance manual. So we're also making sure that that's going to be happening as well. So the senators will be looking at them, discussing them, making recommendations for changes. And the plan right now is to have those new constitution and bylaws go to a full faculty vote in January at convocation. So that's our timeline. And finally, I've completed the annual evaluation of the Academic Senate and its committees, which is called for in the governance manual. And I used the TrackThat reports, which looked at their initial, mid-year, and end-of-year report on their initiatives, as well as the district governance questionnaire put out by the Office of Institutional Research, Planning, and Effectiveness, or institutional maybe after effectiveness. That is going to the Senate next week. And once the Senate has reviewed and approved it, I'll be taking it to the District Governance Senate and to the Board for information. And we are meeting next week. We're starting off, or actually we're meeting actually this Wednesday, so we're starting off with a bang.
Thank you. Do you have any questions of Dr. Trimble?
That was September 5th for the retreat, correct?
Correct.
Thank you very much. Do we have a Costa report tonight?
Yes, I'm here in Mr. Sense's place.
Okay.
Good evening, board members. First of all, Mr. Sense apologizes that he couldn't be here, but he's meeting with students right now. His comments are, the only comment I would make goes back to the subject broached in July, campus safety for students, staff, and faculty. To be sure, faculty believe Mr. Cardoza and Chief Masterson are doing their best in trying to achieve that needed safety. But they also feel that more needs to be done and should be done. They hope that the district is working on providing that safety during all hours of operation. Anything the district might need from faculty, please let them know. The age of rage needs to be thwarted here. Thank you for listening. Questions?
Do we have a CSEA report?
Just quickly, I'd like to report Friday after convocation, the CSEA took the ratification vote on the contract before you, and it was a unanimous ballot. So good news, thank you. And hopefully, thank you to you too.
Thank you, Steve. Do we have a CASAPA report?
No report.
No report. Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Okay, moving right along to our first information item, we will have an annual report on distance education by Dr. Nolan.
Thank you. My favorite day of the year is the first day of school. I have to tell you, I know they're not here, but I've had the great privilege of working with our new full-time faculty this week. I'm so excited. They're all brilliant and they know what it means to be at a community college. And I think that they're well aware of our unique culture here in the Valley, and they're raring to go. So it's wonderful. Okay, distance education, my other half. Yeah, we're continuing to use Blackboard and increasing our usage. We have a way to find out how many shells are active. What happens when someone's name gets on, or when a class is created in Banner? The Banner tells Blackboard to create a course shell or a Blackboard space for an instructor to use. But it's not a requirement for everyone to use. Everybody's starting to use it more and more though. So we had 300 some in the spring of 13 and 400, almost 450 in the spring of 14. And judging by how busy I've been in the last 2 weeks, we're going to have a higher percentage of people using Blackboard. Very few students have trouble getting started with Blackboard the first time. The biggest threshold is logging in. And I've only taken about 40 calls today myself. I don't know how to do it. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. We have some mechanisms in place to help students, though, and I think we'll get through this pretty quickly. Nothing new as far as that goes. But we have information available to students on the web, and we have lots of places for people to go on all of our campuses for students to get help. New instructors are given Blackboard orientation if they want one at the beginning of the year. And I've also provided some Blackboard training on Friday afternoon. It was well attended. In the event of a technical problem that I can't handle, and I am a teacher, not a technician, I call on Jeremy Tierson, our computer services department, and he's always right there for me, always ready to help with the machine language issues. So I speak teacher language, he speaks machine. We had an upgrade with Blackboard this summer. It occurred on July 28th overnight. And it went very well. It's mostly a cosmetic change, but I'm still getting people calling me and saying, did you know that this is going on now? This is going on now. So I call it job security, right? I'm going to keep getting messages from people about the new Blackboard is doing this and that and the other thing. The copy and paste problem Jeremy and I are going to have to work on. Our online classes are continuing at about the same level as they have for 2 or 3 years. We had some online classes this summer. We have, hovering between 90 and 100 online sections. They are sometimes with an orientation, sometimes entirely online, sometimes having multiple meetings during the semester. Every instructor who is teaching an online class has to be certified per our master agreements. And we now have 60 instructors who have completed the in-house certification that I facilitate. Not all of those 60 instructors are teaching online yet, but they are ready to go. And we feel that this is the biggest factor in improving online teaching and online instruction here at COS. I will be offering that program again this fall. We have fewer people interested in it, so I think I may only offer it one time this year, but we'll see what the demand is. We are working on improving success rates in our online classes. This is a problem that we all face all the way across the nation. We've done some research, and we feel that many of our classes, 48% of our online classes, have a better or equal success rate to their face-to-face counterparts. But not all of them do. 40% have, it's just not as good a success rate. What that means is students earning a C or better. We believe that there are lots of reasons for this. One is that they just sort of disappear and they end up with an F or a W, and there isn't anything we can do about it. But we did some research with students. We found that students must be aware if they're going to be successful. They must be aware that they are registering for an online class. So now there is a button they have to push when they register for an online class that says they know that they're registering for an online class. That's something I want to thank Computer Services for helping to facilitate, Lee McDonald in particular. Students have to have a compelling reason to finish the class. They have to have the expectation that they're going to finish the class. They should have basic computer skills and strong time management skills. This is especially important with online classes that don't have regular meetings. Students forget that they're in a class and they forget they have to do the work. We also understand that students will be successful if they have certain dispositions, like they're able to set and achieve goals, that they are comfortable troubleshooting computer problems. This is something that digital natives kind of have. This is a term from the computer world. But most of our students are digital immigrants. They come to computers later on. They weren't steeped in it from an early age. So that's not an intuitive thing for them. They have to be comfortable being separated from their instructors and their classmates during a particular time. They prefer reading their instructions than listening to them. They monitor their COS email, and I hope the whole campus is helping us with that. Promote. And they know when they need help, and they know how to ask for it. And that isn't always something that they're comfortable doing. We also know that certain situations will promote success. If they already have a GPA 2.0, they tend to be more successful, and if they've taken an online class. And if they have support outside of school, they tend to be more successful. So we're trying to support awareness with students. We're trying to support their expectations and skills by getting information to them. And there are certain things that we can do about that. We keep working on that. But there are things like their expectations, dispositions, and situations that we cannot control. So we're trying to promote their self-awareness of these things, and we've developed a survey that our online instructors can use in their classes to help students understand their readiness level. And I'm promoting the use of that. It'll take us about a year to kind of make that part of everyone's practice, and I hope that that will be an effective tool for us. And I've given you the copy of that survey for your information. That's the latest update. I thank you for this moment every year. This is my 8th year here, and like the new faculty, I want to thank you again for having the opportunity to be a part of the COS family. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions? I appreciate that we go back and kind of show the numbers in terms of how it's growing. It's the future, and we know it's here. It's finding a way to make it work for more than just a few.
Yes, well, that's my goal. It's a mission.
Thank you for the report.
All right, thank you.
And now we will have an annual update on our business, industry, and community services.
We're hanging on to this together, and I think one of it is to give you kind of a background, and secondly, to help explain anything that is in our packet. From a background standpoint, for business, industry, and community services, I provided a little bit of a pamphlet, if you have that in your particular packet. That's both some of the things we've done in the past and some of the things that we're marketing in the future. Business, industry, and community service has existed since about, in that title, since I've been here in 2008, so almost 6 years, or about 6 years that we've been in existence in the format that we are now. It was called, had other names prior to that, but a huge part of our business is serving the business community through contract education, fee-based training, or community education, which again is fee-based type training to individuals. So one, contract education to a local agency or company, and on the other hand, a fee-based education to individuals through community ed or other types of outreaches that we have. The third area for which we funded VIX is through grant funding, and that's been a large part of our funding particularly over the last 4 years in particular. And so, just to give you, if we want to, you can scroll up. So that's a little bit about where we, again, a background. I had been the director of that as well as director of multiple grants. So some of the grants that we had held over the last year that were held by me as VIX director was our Center for Applied Competitive Technologies for about 3 years. Some of this is not on your program, but it's just background information. We've had responsive training grants where we've had grants to work with our local employers at a reduced cost in order to help those that have financial issues. We've held some very large grants. Some of you may remember back, I think it was trying to remember this back in 2009 when the American Reinvestment Act, there were lots of dollars when Obama first came in office. So we had some large contracts with our local workforce investment board and began making relationships with them. So we had $400,000 the next year, a couple of $100,000 contracts to support their work with underemployed and unemployed workers. Within that time, many of you know, in the year of 2011, all of you know that the VIX went from being a unit, kind of a single unit here on campus, to moving to the TECO facility, Tulare County Office of Vocational Education, the TECO facility. Now that facility, and you've got the historical perspective on it. Currently, we have electrician classes. So for the career technical education, no longer the VIX hat, but career technical education, the hat I wear, the hat Larry Dudo formerly wore, we had multiple career technical education, just like any course held on this campus. So those courses included electrician, the electrician training classes. Right now, we have about 3 electrician training classes. We had truck driving classes, which those have canceled for a variety of reasons over the last 3 semesters. And we're building through some grants, machinist classes and advanced manufacturing. So those were credit programs that we're currently utilizing the facility for. We have potential credit programs that had been discussed over time. That was the revitalization of the project house construction. That has been discussion in the past. But those programs, construction program has utilized the construction house out at, or the construction shop out at what is the TECO or VIX facility. And then contract ed, like I mentioned, and grants have utilized the other parts of the contract of the VIX Center during that time. Other kinds of very smaller contracts that we have held besides those grants have been like a consistent supervisory academy with the city of Visalia, which we consistently hosted out at that particular facility as an example. There's a historical perspective, Megan, that you can talk to. I cannot talk to some of the things prior to my time. I do know we had leased out prior to us taking over the whole facility as a college, but John Deere had leased out parts of that. We had leased out parts of that for the perishable skill labs before it went to, the police academy went to Hanford. So those are some examples of things and the renovations that have happened there. I think if you look down to Exhibit A, we were just giving you the basic cost. You can stay there. I didn't realize that I put that. The basic cost of the lease of the various facilities that you've got of the TECO facility. And then if you scroll down further, the costs that we have taken over through grants or various credit contract funding sources to cover just basically, I call it the maintenance, but it's the day-to-day operation of the facility, and any type of maintenance probably is not even in there of doing something new if it wasn't sometimes the T-Cove lease required them to fix it, sometimes we fixed it. So that gives you an idea of operating expenses that VIX put together. I guess that gives you kind of a background of behind the scenes of VIX. Again, I want to say it's contract ed, community ed, but also the grants. Over the last 6 to 8 months, we've worked at how do we, many of the grants, for instance, the Center for Applied Competitive Technologies, went away from the Chancellor's office the way it had. And we had reapplied for that grant through a Deputy Sector Navigator for Advanced Manufacturing. However, that position couldn't be held by both myself as the VIX Center Director and as the Deputy Sector Navigator. So we hired a new position. You've met him, Gurmendra Sangha, so we have begun to take different parts of those grants out of VIX to some extent. And so we hired Jorge Zagara also to be the VIX Director, and because he has such a strong manufacturing background, with the effort of how do we provide more direct contract training to provide the support we need in the interaction with businesses without all of the grant support that we have. Although, as we study, there's still needs for grant support through that in some capacities, in some ways, that where CTE and that contracting training sometimes still works together. But he's putting together a plan, and he'd like to explain that or explore that with you.
Good evening. Since I joined COS about 2.5 months ago, there is one question that has become a repeating theme, not only from friends and family, but also from COS colleagues. And the question is, so what does BIC do? So it tells me that the role of BICS is a bit nebulous, not only with the community, but also even within COS. That also tells me that there's an opportunity at BICS to improve our brand and also to do a better job of communicating what our role is and what value BICS brings not only to COS, but also to the business and industry. So what do we do at BICS? I know the acronym may be a bit confusing to some. It just stands for Business, Industry, and Community Services. But at BICS, what we do is we provide not-for-credit, fee-based training. And we classify those offerings in 2 categories. One is community education, the type of training that you may see even advertised by other agencies within Vitality. And for example, gun safety classes, notary classes, perioperative nursing, baseball clinic, law enforcement classes, and the classes that are taught at Hempford facility, which are law enforcement, are managed by the BICS Training Center. And we also have some of them. We also have a number of online courses that we provide: computer skills, Excel, Word, Outlook. And those courses we offer through partnerships with organizations that provide those type of offerings. Also, we have what we call contract education, and that is the type of training that we provide to business and industry. It's not training that competes with the training that is offered here on the main campus. I view it as a complement. These are trainings that we provide to satisfy a specific need by an employer, by a business within our region. We have trainings currently on basic electricity. These are short-term classes, may last a month and a half. They're once or twice a week for 3 hours. We have vocational ESL, English as a second language. We also have industrial motor controls. We are also developing new classes. We are starting a new certified production technician in October. We're also in the process of releasing and promoting a class for basic electricity that will start in September. And there are some classes that also that I have in mind that I think it would be a great benefit to the business and the industry community here in our region. And these are classes that deal with quality systems, lean manufacturing, continuous improvement. These are topics that currently there's a need by the employers in our region, and we feel that we can provide, we can fill that gap. And what is the value of BICS? And I think I view the value of BICS by considering the impact of not having BICS. It's difficult sometimes to explain what is it we do, but I think it would be you can better perceive what value we bring by realizing that what would be the case if we didn't have such a function. And I believe that developing the partnership with employers and industry, letting them know that we are part of COS and we have the ability to customize our training to satisfy a particular need is the value that BICS brings to COS and also to the industry. We are planning to grow our contract education side of the house. As Dr. Walter explained in the past, a good portion of our offerings were funded through grants, and we're trying to change that proportion so that most of our business will come from fee-based offerings. That's going to take some time, especially since some of the grants that we had in the past are no longer available for BICS. So, but in preparation for that growth that we're projecting, we have several projects going on at this time internally to be able to withstand the growth that we're projecting. We are revising our webpage. We're redesigning our contact database. We're also restarting our financial reporting system. We like Banner, but it doesn't provide some of the details that we need to determine profitability of some of the classes that we offer. So we use a shadow system through QuickBooks, and we are again resetting up that system so we have the ability to analyze the different classes that we offer and the classes that we would like to offer. Also, we are in the process of redesigning our brochure, and we are planning to also release newsletters. Now, we have also some challenges ahead, and one of them is an immediate challenge, and that is that the facility that where we reside, TICO, the organization is in the process of being dissolved, and they're selling the property, so I believe there is a high possibility that we may have to relocate. And that's one aspect that hinders the ability to plan long term. So we haven't determined yet where we're going to move, but we should know this fairly soon. Once we know where we're going to reside, it will facilitate our long-term planning. It also would give us the trigger to be able to start looking at brochures and marketing and promotion, because without knowing where we're going to be at, it makes it a little difficult. So I don't know if you have any questions on any of the information that we have.
I just had a question on the financial projections, but more on that last page. I just didn't quite understand profit, and then you have incomes, and then profit, 50% increase.
Maybe I shouldn't have used the term profit, maybe earnings perhaps, but it's just my private industry, I guess, background. What we're projecting is an increase of 50% of revenue in the 2014-2015 fiscal year compared to the previous year. So if you see a revenue of $500,000, that represents a 50% increase of what was generated revenue-wise from the previous year. So my projection may be a bit aggressive, but I can't afford not to be optimistic. So that's what I'm projecting, a 50% increase this fiscal year, another 50% increase on the next 2 years, and then down to a 25% increase. Because to be able to cover all our expenses, our revenues have to be about 1.5 million.
The board likes 4 and 5 year projections, just so you know. We like 4 and 5 year projections. And we won't hold you to those, but we appreciate how you do now. I just didn't understand now, if you made clear on what that was. So this is basically kind of best case scenario that you're planning for this, and going forward with less grant money.
Correct, and I think we understand his projections are, if we didn't have any grants at all associated with it, and we know between the two of us that there are some grants that we're winding down, weaning off, so that will change a little bit, but I think he's trying to look at straight, if I didn't have any grants, how would this look?
Yeah, and we're gonna have to, in fact, there are 2 grants that we have obtained that are not reflected here, but they're worth the same. I believe between the 2 of them, it's probably $150,000, but that's just revenue. That, I can't use that to cover all my expenses, so, and also I'm assuming about a 35% return on investment, so those are the figures that I've used to make this projection. Now,
COS 19 can help you.
so that's what I'm basing my projections on. No grant money, even though we realize that we're gonna need some of those funds. Also, what I'm not including here, and it has to do with the likelihood of moving, is no, I have not budgeted anything for marketing, because I don't wanna include that in the projection yet until I know where I'm gonna be.
Do we have any programs now where we get the industry support in terms of underwriting some of the cost-based programs, or do we not have any of those? You know, where industry actually pays for some of the course?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Paying for the courses.
they would pay, they pay for the full cost.
The fees for their employees.
Yeah, so we have government agencies that do that. We've got a couple of out there with different manufacturers right now proposals, but whether they actually come through.
To give you a couple of examples, right now we're providing a 13-week training program to Visalia Unified School District. It's our Supervisor and Management Academy. It's 3 hours every Wednesday. And the cost of that training is paid fully by Visalia Unified. I had a conversation with a local employer, Nichols Farms. They came over and paid us a visit on Friday. They're interested in also a management academy, perhaps a bilingual academy, English and Spanish, because of their workforce is largely Hispanic. But also they're interested in other industry-related trainings, for it's called statistical process control for the food industry. They want to partner in developing other courses, and those courses are going to be paid by the employer. I also had conversations with Horizon Net. They're also interested in partnering with us. They would like us our support with some of the training needs that they have. We also had a conversation with other employers. Yeah, some we can mention. They're interested in some of the classes that we have. All those courses, the expectation they're all fee-based, is that they will cover those expenses themselves.
So you work with the local chambers as well, and you're
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons for Jorge and the way we divide the position, is to say, I had worked with some of those, but not to the extent with all the grants that we really could. And so we've designed some of those, but whether we fully marketed those and got those, that's where his focus is trying to
you have less boundaries then. I mean, with the money going away from the grants, it's a negative, but it could be a positive. And you have a little more
In
flexibility.
the long run, that's what we like to do. But we also realize that initially, we're gonna have to still rely on some of the grant funds, because that's money we need.
And we still have great partnerships with the WIBs, but those become a little iffy as well, because sometimes they want credit-based courses, and that mucks up the water, and that's a different relationship, and we've been down that road. But I, kind of Jorge's comment of, what would you have if you didn't, have this? There's some of those relationships out there that are designed and developed that might not have been there. We just had a meeting with CMTC, which is California Manufacturing Technology Consulting Group, and we are part of their territory in Tulare and Kings, and they provide that higher level training that we're not necessarily in a credit program doing, but they don't have the relationships in Tulare and Kings, and so they've really identified BIX as a partner to help them get into this community, which I think if you're talking about economic engines and driving economic engines, that's an interesting relationship and partnership for us, and Jorge's interested in how to do that.
that would be a very interesting partnership because this organization is based in Los Angeles. Geographically, we're part of the territory, but they don't have a presence here per se. They also offer consulting. That's something that I would like to do also in the future. So it looks like a good partnership, something we can provide together. There's some specifics we have to work out. They have some specific requirements as far as financial reporting, and that's the reason why we also revamping our internal financial reporting system and things. But it's several things happening at the same time. I'm also reaching out to the different Chamber of Commerce. I'm doing a presentation in a week or so at the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and some other organizations that I've reached out to. So again, this is a process that's going to take some time until we see really the results.
Well, and I know like the Tulare Chamber, and this is just speaking from my experience, they've had classes on QuickBooks, Excel, Word, and we've sent people to those and they're full. And they're done by a local person in Tulare, which we can't keep up. And so that demand is there, if it can be advertised correctly for those types of classes for fee-based, that people will pay. I mean, they're always full for a pretty hefty fee. You know, a lot of professional companies that do it charge you $500 a day. The chamber tries to do it for $100 a day.
We try to say we're not that that's true, but just like supervisory training, we try, as we sell ourselves, we're not drive-by trainers. We're here local, we're here to support you this year and next year, and something, the consulting we can, and that's a better product than just a one-time drive-by, shoot it out, and hope somebody catches something.
Yeah, exactly. I think you could build some great partnerships with the chambers who don't have the capacity to handle what the need is for what their members want. Great, thank you very much. Any other questions?
I just wanted to thank Jorge for giving us a nice in-depth description of things. Because quite frankly, what Fix was somewhat nebulous to me as well.
First of all, I've watched what Dr. Walner did for this before you came along, and I'm real proud of the strides she made, and I see that you're taking it even further. I said that so you understand I'm very supportive, and I think that what that program does is invaluable to the economy. You started the conversation off by talking about people not knowing who you were and exactly what you do. I'm going to suggest to you that your acronym hurts you. When you just say BIX, period, if instead you really concentrate on BIX, employment, technical training, always add something. And say BIX when you're amongst your when you're outside. Always qualify BIX because I don't think people understand what it is.
I didn't before I joined COS.
And if you just if everybody forces themselves to make these acronyms longer than they need to be, it's just going to be final.
Okay, we're going to consider it.
Right.
That would be
Okay, I know what I'm talking about. Food for thought.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Lozano, next.
Lord,
I know, yes.
Can I request a 5-minute session?
Sure. Okay. We are on the curriculum process. Dr. Lozano.
Good evening, and we wanted to today, since we do not have a curriculum report, to talk to you a little bit about the curriculum process and what has happened before you see those large reports that you get each month. And one of the things I realized through the other presenters was that you like numbers, so I quickly asked Jody Jordan, our curriculum coordinator, to look up some numbers for us. So we have close to 1,000 courses, and I think it's about 350 programs. And last year we approved 257 courses, or deleted or modified, and 52 programs. And in a normal year, it's about 400. And we also try to update 20% of the courses every year. So that's kind of some numbers for you. The curriculum committee reports to Dr. Trimble via the Academic Senate. If you look at our governance thing here, the curriculum committee reports to Academic Senate. It's one of the 10+1, and it also is run out of my office. So Linda Jones works for me, and she is responsible for all of the curriculum processing, the catalog, every process from beginning to end of the curriculum. And Joni Jordan is our curriculum coordinator, and Joni, wave your hands. That's Joni. And they all know Joni. And for those of us who don't, they're newer people. And Joni and I co-chair the curriculum committee. So I want to just give you a little background. Okay, there we go. So there's several resources that we use for curriculum approval, and they're listed there, local and state level. The handbook is the program curriculum and course approval handbook was developed to provide guidance to the whole system on submission of approval and approval of courses. And also the Board of Governors has statewide responsibility for approving all new instructional programs at community colleges. The legislature also, so I'm just going to go to the next slide, but those are the 4 things, and then this one. The legislature also made our finance approval part of the law for the finance law for community colleges, that in order to claim attendance for any course, it must be approved through the appropriate processes. So that's another important part. The minimum condition is that all courses have to be approved by the Chancellor's office. So that was an additional legal add-on for approval of curriculum. The California Community College's Chancellor's office reviews all proposals for curriculum within the context of Title V regulations. They're submitted electronically by the California Community Colleges to the Chancellor's Office curriculum inventory, and they're supposed to review them within 60 days, and I kind of giggled when I read that because we know that's not happening. A lot of it has to do with the lack of staffing at the Chancellor's Office right now. And then once the Chancellor's Office staff reviews a course, it is given for a recommendation to their Vice Chancellor. And then once a course is approved, it comes back to my office to say that it's got official approval from the Chancellor's Office, and we aren't allowed to offer the course until it has that approval from the Chancellor's Office. So there's several types of programs that need to be approved. We have credit and non-credit programs, and there is a list of the different types of programs, and they fall into, here we have a very small non-credit program. It's mostly our English as a second language non-credit program, so most of our programs are for credit. We are required to do a periodic review of all of our programs, and Education Code requires specifically for career technical education programs that they're reviewed every 2 years, and they have to show that they meet a documented labor market demand, that they don't duplicate other training programs in the area, and that their effectiveness is measured by the local employment and our completion or success rates. We are also mandated by the WASC accreditation, the ACCJC standards, to evaluate our courses on a regular basis. So at COS, we do that on a 5-year basis for any of the non-CTE courses. And the standard 2A, 2E, which we're all familiar with these now, is that the Institute evaluates all courses and programs through an ongoing systematic review of their relevance, appropriateness, achievement of learning outcomes, currency, and future needs and plans. So we also have accreditation reasons for approving them. So the course outline of record, there's all of these things, just a list for you guys, have to be included in every course outline of record. And when we review them, we look at every single one of these things. So the need, how many units, how many hours the course what are the content, how do we evaluate it, what types of assignments do they give in those courses are things that we review. Okay, the curriculum committee, there we go. Okay, so the curriculum committee is, again, it's mandated by Title V that we have a curriculum committee, and it's also one of the Academic Senate 10+1. And the curriculum committee needs to be established by mutual agreement of the college and the district administration, or the college or administration and the Academic Senate, which we do have a policy, one of our policies on that. And the things that the curriculum committee is supposed to look at are all of these things here. And we look at that for every type of class. And we basically, like when we look at difficulty, is the difficulty level of the class appropriate to a community college level course? Is are there appropriate prerequisites and co-requisites? And does it have the appropriate number of units, or just examples of what we are supposed to look for? So at COS, our curriculum committee is made up of the people that are listed there. I did want to mention for our classified staff, we have a financial aid resource specialist, and she's been really instrumental in helping us look at different programs and seeing how the number of units might impact a student's financial aid, and she's been able to give us a lot of really good input. Greg Keene is our articulation officer, and he also serves as a liaison to our course identification system, to our Cal State University and UC, to the transferability of those courses, articulation agreements, and then also works with our general education and our IGETSI transfer patterns. We have all of our academic deans and student services deans are part of the curriculum committee and our directors. And then our course librarian, I mentioned her already, Linda Jones, who works in my office. She prepares all of the board reports, inputs any changes to our banner system, submits everything to the chancellor's office, produces the catalog, and provides our technical review of the courses along with our curriculum coordinator, Joni Jordan. Okay, so at COS, our curriculum review process is in BP and AP 4020, 4021, 4022, and actually Joni and I have been meeting with one of the other members of the curriculum committee to revise all of those and make sure that they meet with COS 2.0, so those will be coming through the review process in the next month or so. And then we also have Curricunet is our program that we use to input curriculum, and that then eventually gets up to the chancellor's office. And then we also, as mentioned, review on a 5-year cycle and a 2-year cycle for CTE. The process that it goes to by the time it gets to you, it's originated in the division or department, it gets approved there through their curriculum group, then it gets input into our Curricunet system. Through there it goes through the entire curriculum committee, everyone needs to approve it, there's a lot of discussion that goes back and forth. Once it gets to my level for approval, then it goes to Academic Senate. Academic Senate has a monthly report. It's the same one you get. They get it prior to coming here. Then it comes to the Board of Trustees for approval. Then it goes to the Chancellor's office. And once we get that report back from the Chancellor's office, we can add it to the catalog or the schedule. For a new course, an existing course then would stay into the catalog or the schedule. All right, and so there's several different things that you're used to seeing in your in the board reports that we provide here, and that's you have a course or a program, and either there's a modification to an existing course, and you can see the types of things there that will be a modification, a new course, and I'm going to talk about the approval criteria in a second, or a deletion, and that'll be a standalone repeatability or no longer offered. If it is a program deletion versus a course deletion, there's a whole other process that needs to happen, and that's in one of our APs, is a program discontinuance policy. So if a program were to get here, it would have gone through a big year-long process with Academic Senate to delete a program. So normally when you see deletions, it's courses. And then last, I wanted to talk about our approval criteria. So these are the things when this is in our AP 4020, and so by the time it gets to the board, and especially for a new program, there are several criteria in our AP that we refer to that we are looking at as a curriculum committee, that the Senate looks at, that the faculty looks at, and that the board should also consider when approving courses. So first, is it appropriate to our mission? Is it consistent with the mission of the community college? Is there a need? Is there a demonstrated need for the program? Does it not cause harmful competition with other programs, existing programs at other colleges? And is it appropriate to our region? Does it have, fit where we are? Quality, is there courses, are they designed to effectively meet their objectives and goals? The feasibility, do we have enough resources? And that includes funding, faculty, facilities, and equipment. And then the last thing we need to think about is compliance. Does it conflict with any of the laws or regulations, both state and federal statutes? So that is a hopefully quick enough overview. And really it was to let you guys know that by the time that report gets to you, all of the review that we've done, all of the things that the faculty, the staff, student services, our articulation officer, everybody's looked at. So brief overview, any questions?
This is just for new programs.
No, that's all of them. So, and all new programs, modified programs, or deletions would come here. So courses and programs, you get both, new, modified, or deleted.
Jennifer,
It's a lot. It's a lot.
The chancellor's office really is wanting to be involved.
They have to be, it's the law. They're required by the law, Title V law, and an education code to be the approving body. And that, the Board of Governors put that responsibility on them, but it also, we can't get state apportionment for a course unless they've approved it. So if we offer a course that hasn't been through the process, or we made a mistake and offered some class and it hadn't been approved, we would get audited, when we get audited, they could pull the funding for that class. Earl finds that funny.
Create another bureau.
Jennifer, I was curious as to the, under the approval criteria, where you mentioned one of the criteria you would look at would be existing programs at other colleges.
Correct.
So can you kind of give, so if we thought we had a need for a particular program here, but West Hills offered, for instance, is that something that we have to show that there's?
And I can bring up a little sore subject, and Cindy can back me on that. But one example would be a nursing program that West Hills wanted to start. And so we had a lot of discussion. We actually, and Cindy was there, not me, but we opposed their opening a nursing program because we didn't feel that there were enough nursing placements in the area to support West Hills students and COS students. So that would be an example and we didn't, they got their nursing program anyway, even though we opposed it. But, you know, they can oppose, if we wanted to start something that they have and it's a new program, they could oppose it. There's a committee that kind of looks at that too in the career technical education area. There's a regional career technical education committee that will look and say, okay, that's appropriate for the region before it can go on as well.
Any other questions, John?
Sort of unrelated, but how long has Joni Jordan been the curriculum?
Joni Jordan is here to back me up with any questions.
How long have I been on it? Since 2000.
Too long than that.
Some days it does, John. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Very informative.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, we are moving right along to our consent calendar. All items listed on the consent calendar are considered routine and will be acted on one motion. An item may be removed by the consent calendar at the request of the board or any person in the audience considered as a separate agenda item. Do any items to be removed?
Just a second. And lost.
Number 9, Don?
Right here, 4. I'm looking for the regular list, I don't see it. There's a bunch of stuff in here. Is that what you're looking for? This is? Yeah, there you go. I'd like to pull number 9 for further discussion, please.
Okay, so we will vote on items 4 through 8 and including number 9. Do I have a motion to approve items 4 through 8?
So moved.
Moved by Greg.
Second.
Seconded by Ken. Any further discussion? All those in favor of ratifying items 4 through 8, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Okay, we'll take up item number 9 now, John.
Yeah, I would like to hear the staff talk a bit about this. I have 2 separate issues. First of all, I know that Darden is a firm of Darden Architects, a first-rate firm. They did a wonderful job in Hanford. They built schools all over the place. I did notice, though, that they didn't hire a single local subcontractor, and they're not all for the move. I wasn't in the room for the interview, so for all I know, they're the very best choice. But can you talk a bit about why this particular firm was selected over someone else that may have used some local people?
Yes, I'll address that. We did go through an RFQ, request for qualifications process, and we put it out there and had 4 responses by our deadline. They're listed in the board agenda item, Darden, SIM, SAM, TAM, CZ, and TIER. We did not specify in our RFQ process, and it was not part of our questions to request that their subcontractors be, or their consultants be local. It was not something that rose to the top of our discussions in our interview process. We had a really good interview process. We had them present, basically come to us and tell us what qualifies them to do this project. It is a fairly small project on the scale that architects often submit RFQs for. So each one had about 35 minutes with us, and they presented. And then we followed up with about 5 questions of our own. I believe we could possibly discuss that still with them. They have 4 I want to call them subcontractors, but the different engineering services that they had listed, Darden in particular. And we could discuss that with them, but it was not one of the basis upon which we made our decision.
I don't want to get in the business of telling them who they should hire. Really make it an issue, so when you guys hire folks to do some sort of thing, you look at it. The second issue I have is the fee structure, if you're in the agreement, is 10% of whatever the construction cost ends up being. And I can't put my finger on it, because I recall the construction cost is estimated to be $950,000 or something like that. I personally don't like contracts that are related to a percentage construction. I prefer either some open-ended contract or a fixed fee. Here's why. Let's suppose that, I'll make up a couple scenarios. Let's suppose the structural engineer gets involved in this and say, look, if I spend 3 or 4 more days work on this thing, I think I've got $100,000 out of the cost of the project. Okay? So the architect has to say, okay, let me get this straight. If I pay you for 3 or 4 more days work, so you can save $100,000, I get $10,000 less in fees. Or even more than that is they have some new modern, I don't know what, that enables us, that doesn't save a lot of money. Cutting down the cost of construction works against them. Now, I won't say that an honest architect and honest engineer wouldn't do it anyway, but you know, it takes away the incentive to do a good job when working harder costs you money. And I would like to see you consider going back to Mr. Darden, and instead of saying 10% of whatever cost of construction is, if you're happy with if you think the estimated cost is valid, just pay them $95,000 is a lump sum. And I know in schools tend to work this percentage of construction, but in most other industries we quit doing it for the reasons I just cited. If you really work hard and do a good job to lower the cost of construction, it just costs yourself money. Shouldn't be like that.
We can definitely talk to them. In fact, I think on their RFQ, I believe they put the 10% of the estimate of $957,000 in there. And they did not present it as a fixed fee, though. They did present it as a 10%. Chancellor's office and CE that I'm familiar with, K-12 and community colleges, does have the guidance of the sliding scale of percentage of construction. But it's something that I really haven't researched, and I could certainly look into.
It doesn't mean that, like, suppose that what happens here a lot is you all change your mind, and you want to add another wing or something. Well, you have to pay them extra for that. Sure. But I mean, it's within the scope of this contract. I would like to see you either come back and say, we can't do that, or I decided some other third thing, but I'd like to see you consider it before we start. Now, I'm one voice, there's 4 others.
And Eric, do you have anything to add to that, or you?
We
had some thoughts that if, based on the one voice, the board could perhaps decide if they want to amend the wording of the recommended action or something like that.
One of the reasons that we do this also, John, especially in a modernization, is the scope of work actually hasn't been defined yet. It's the architect along with us that actually defines the scope. So the $957,000 is an opinion of probable cost without spending a lot of time on the job. We would try to budget to that.
Why don't you pay them $10,000 to work out the scope and then come up with a fixed fee off of that?
There's many different models. We chose in the beginning to use the Community College Chancellor's Office model. If you want to, we can go a different direction. My personal opinion is it will end up costing us more, but we'll go with that direction.
Why would it cost more?
Because there's a lot of cost in developing that scope of work to put a cost on it, and there's an element of risk in it as well. So whenever we're going to put the entity at risk to get what we'll call a bid, they're going to cover themselves with the risk. So in my experience, it will cost us more. With the sliding scale, which is what we've used for every project since I've been here at COS, and what the Chancellor's Office uses, if the rates go up, the bids, then their scale goes up. Now, I'd like to address your concern as well on the opposite side. We continuously embrace a partnership with our architectural firms, and we've never had the instance where someone could come forward and say, we're going to save you money, but we're not going to do that because it would cost us our fee. We've always worked together to negotiate something like that, where we may give them the same amount of fee if they can prove that we could actually save this cost-saving measure.
If they tell you.
Yes, if they'll tell us. But I'd like to say that I'm active enough in the projects where I can usually see those types of things.
For other folks you should talk to.
Okay, so
Eric, just a question on page 14, paragraph 6.12, where you talk about additional services.
Yes.
And at the rate of 1.1 times. I'm a little confused as to exactly what it is
That's-
that means.
if they were to bring in an additional service that is not covered under the project, like let's say a specialty consultant that we've asked for, let's say we want to bring in an acoustical engineer because we want to address the acoustics in there. That's another sub-consultant. So if that consultant's fee was, say, $25,000, then they would charge us 10% overhead profit. Just so I can address the contract itself, this came from county council. Back when we had county council, it was the same template contract that we used for the entrance.
Board members?
Well, I think I'm good to go with the contract. I think in John's discussion with Christine, you said you would go back to them and talk about some of these.
Yeah, we certainly can. I'm very happy to. I think the question is, do you want to authorize or approve this agreement as it is written with the understanding that we'll sync that, basically a fixed fee with them? I can't guarantee that though right now at this point.
So what time frame are you talking about? I mean, if we table it for a month, is that a problem?
No. Well, we have a timeline, and our timeline was to start the design process pretty much in September, but I don't think there's a problem per se. Construction's primarily going to be next summer.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we could come up with a negotiated fee. I think the challenge is going to be, what is that scope of work based on? So I think based on a $950,000 project, I'm sure they would give us a fee. But if we start getting into it and it turns out to be an $800,000 project or $1.5 million, I'm sure they're going to want to renegotiate that fixed fee.
What we can do is see what would it cost. We talked about that 10,000 maybe to start doing some of the work and perhaps front that and come up with an agreement on.
Please
I
don't,
like that idea.
please don't just talk to what I said. You know, the issue, my real issue is I don't like percentage construction cost contracts. And I think we should try harder to get a fixed fee. And, but
Are you telling me, Eric, that we built Hanford and Tulare campuses with a sliding, or?
Yes, sliding scale, and using the Chancellor's Office guidelines, which is a different fee sliding scale for a renovation versus a new building. So every project that you've approved so far, Tulare Center, Science Building, Nursing Building, has been a sliding scale.
Schools do that, but they're about the only agency that does. Schools do that. I don't know any other agency that does. Schools do.
Yeah, and I think the models that we use are not unique, they're not unusual, as Eric's been mentioning, but, you know, yeah, I was gonna say, neither are John's concerns. The fact is, we've been vulnerable through these models for a long time. We've been pretty good here, I think pretty fortunate in making sure that we don't get taken advantage of. But if it's the interest of the board that we go back to this architect as our preferred architect and express the concern that the board has shared, and as John said, without a specific solution in mind, sit down and say, here's the concern our board has, and here's the issue that we'd like to talk to you about, and we have another month to bring back that final proposal.
And I think another one of his concerns is not using local contractors.
Yeah, that's probably a bigger question, Greg. We don't have a policy that I'm aware of that makes that happen. So we want to be careful not to be discriminatory one way or another, especially when you're looking for the best possible cost associated with saving the taxpayers' dollars. So if the timing isn't critical for us, and it's not, then let's table the item. My recommendation would be we table it. We give these two staff members an opportunity to go back to the architect, express the concern that's been expressed here, if that's the general consensus of the board, and come back with our proposed alternative solution to how the fee structure is set up now.
Well, we have a little bit of a track record with Garden, with the Hanford Center. Did we have any major problems or anything here?
No. I mean, you saw the outcome of the Hanford Center physically.
There were some screw-ups that buried there, you know that.
We were on budget and within our schedule.
That's true.
I wanted to add, because I usually think about those local preferences, and so I actually built the RFQ and I put in there for the architect themselves, they needed to be, and I think I made it a 50-mile radius, but basically it was somewhere near Bakersfield, Fresno. I wasn't thinking about the other consultants as we address this issue.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Any motion to table, correct? I get a motion to table this till next month. Moved.
Second.
Moved by Greg, seconded by Earl. Any more comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Table item number 9 till next month. Okay, moving on to our action calendar. We are on item number 10, which is approval of our tenant agreement between the district and CSEA.
Why Steve's still here?
I gotta make the class in 10 minutes, so hurry up.
I'll make it quick. On June 30th, representatives from the district and CSEA met to negotiate reopeners. Turns out we had quite a successful negotiation session because we extended our contract another 3 years. And at the table, we were there for about 2.5, maybe 3 hours. We agreed to 3% salary increase for classified employees, agreed to new dates for the master agreement effective June 1st, 2014 through, effective July 1st, 2014 through June 30th of 2017. My understanding that the CSEA members voted on it on Friday of August 8th and came back with a unanimous approval of the tentative agreement reached between CSEA and the district. This matter is before the board tonight for the board's ratification of this tentative agreement, which is included within the attachments. And at this time, I would ask that the board formally ratify this tentative agreement between CSEA and the district.
I move for approval.
Moved by Mr. Rand.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Zumwalt. Any further comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Thank you.
First one in 6 years, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, Steve. As board members appreciate that as well. Okay, we will move on to item number 11, which is approval to increase health insurance cap for management and confidential employees in order to remain consistent with classified employees. Ms. Pratt.
In October of this year, our health insurance through CVT is scheduled to increase by about 7% based on the plans an employee chooses. Now, going back to fall of 2013, CSEA reached an agreement with the district in which, effective with October 1st of 2014, CSEA members will pick up 50% of the increased costs in health insurance pursuant to CVT. We'd like to get the employee groups in line with one another, and at this time, we know what the rate increases are going to be, and we also know what classified employees are going to pay towards their health insurance premiums for this upcoming year. We'd like to get the classified, or the confidential employees and management employees in line with what CSEA members will be paying for this upcoming year. And by doing so, I'm asking that the board fully agree to increase the annual maximum contribution it pays for its health insurance to $15,246 per year. And again, that's equivalent to what classified employees will be paid.
Okay, do we have any questions?
So moved.
Comment, hold on.
That's okay, go ahead. Ken's motion, and then we'll take it during discussion.
Okay. Been moved by Mr. Nunes. One second.
Second.
Seconded by Earl. Any further comments?
I just wanted to clarify in how Mr. Bratch has presented, he's characterized this as wanting to make sure that one employee group is aligned with the other. And I want to offer just a little bit more clarification there. I think the end result is that we would like the employee groups to be aligned as possible. But more importantly, I want to describe it as treating each employee group equitably with regard to the benefits that they're going to be provided and what you'll see later, which is a proposed salary change. So it is, in my mind, I think distinctly different and important to keep it that way, because it's not as though we're trying to line up managers with CSEA so that they get what CSEA gets. It's more that CSEA and managers were in the same position when this negotiations began. We've made a decision about CSEA based on the resources that were available. We want to provide the same resources to managers so that they get the same benefit in their insurance and potentially in their salary. So it's treating them equitably rather than lining them up together, having one catch up with the other. And he maybe didn't mean it to sound that way, but when I heard it like that, I just wanted to clarify that wasn't the motivation. The motivation was to treat each group equitably based on the resources available.
Understood. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor of the approval to increase the health insurance cap for management and confidential, signify by saying aye. Aye. Carries. Okay, thank you, Mr. Ratchson. The last item on the agenda tonight is item number 12, approval to increase the salary schedule for management and confidential employees.
Up for review tonight for the board is consideration whether or not the management salary schedule and the confidential employee salary schedule should be increased. As mentioned earlier by Mr. Carrizosa, we'd like to allocate the resources based on each employee unit and consider them individually. As we heard earlier today in item number 10, the classified salary schedule is being increased by 3% pursuant to the tentative agreement reached and ratified by the board. This time, the board is going to also take into consideration the possibility of increasing the managers and confidential employee salary schedule by 3%. At this time, I would ask that the board formally approve of this salary increase for both of the salary schedules.
Do you have any questions or a motion?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mr. Zumwalt, seconded by Mr. Mann. Any further comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, do we have any further comments at the end of the meeting? Anything in final comments?
No further fumble.
No further comments. Thank you for all of you that stayed. We do have about a quarter of our crowd left. Meeting adjourned.